All right, I'm just gonna get started. And yeah, like everyone said, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and Antoine will ask them or answer them. I can't speak today. All right, so hi, my name is Zenny. I am a Fulbright educator here in Calgary, and today we're going to be creating this look. It was in the modern promo. This look was actually created using the bubble technique, but I figured kind of a bunch of you might be signed up for Kayla Blackheart's class next week, and she also did her look using the bubble technique. So I just wanted to kind of do a different technique in case you guys don't want to see the same thing twice. But this is using the Neopop collection, and we pastelized it. So normally I have the colors already pre-mixed, but I was going to mix them with you guys because we're going to add clear to everything. So we have the 4 colors because I created this look before Deviant came out. So we have Tragic, Decoy, Nuclear, and Satire. When you're mixing your colors with clear, you always want to put clear in the bowl first. I feel like we've all done this before, and we've put kind of our color in and then clear, and then you keep mixing and mixing, and then you have like 3 bowls of color because it's not really diluting it enough. So always add clear first, or if you're working with like a lighter color and a darker color, always add your lightest color first, and then add drops of your darkest color until you get kind of the desired color that you're looking for. All right, so with Satire and Nuclear, I put a little more clear in those bowls because they're the most pigmented out of all of the colors I find. So I only really add a little bit to the Tragic and the Decoy. And so you can see I have my clear, and then I'm just going to add.
Do you just revolve the formulas, or do you have the proportions?
Yes, I have the proportions. I eyeball these when they're just like straight up, but I do have like a little formula for this green that I'll go over in a second. But basically, I do just kind of add a couple drops. You can kind of see how much Satire I have here, and just by mixing it, you can kind of already see how pigmented that already made it. Like, it's quite pigmented. So I'm just going to add a couple more drops. But for Satire and Nuclear, that's kind of all you need in comparison to the clear. And then I just like to swatch on a piece of paper or paper towel. That way too, if I'm like remixing and I run out of color, I can kind of compare the last batch to like the new batch. So then, yeah, just gonna put that on there. And then I already pre-mixed Decoy and Tragic, so I'm just gonna mix Nuclear really quick for you guys. And then same thing, add a whole bunch of clear into the bottom of your bowl, and you only need a couple drops of the Nuclear. And we're gonna apply this today on dry hair. You can apply the semis on dry or damp hair, but for this type of look where it's a vivid look and you want your clients to keep it and wear it for as long as possible, definitely apply on dry hair. You can definitely apply on damp hair if you're trying to like correct something. Last week I had a girl come in with faded out like blue-green. So we blank canvassed it, and then with the leftover green, I kind of applied Fireball in the sink and then dried it and did Pyro over top. So you can definitely utilize it down. All right, now I'm gonna take a little more here. You also want to apply it on pre-lightened hair as well. You can apply it on like a natural level 8-9. However, it's not going to have that longevity because that cuticle kind of needs to be roughened up to keep the color in there. You'll notice it'll just slip out if you put it on natural. All right. So now that I'm happy with our Nuclear, I have Tragic, Nuclear, and Satire straight up. And then for this one, I mixed Clear, Decoy, and then I actually did a drop of Satire because I wanted to make the Decoy a little bit greener and create this type of green with it. So I'm just gonna put a little more in there. just so we don't run out. And then I'm going to start at the bottom, the most boring part, melting these two colors together. Okay. And then I'll show you guys the swatches super quick. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so these are our 4 colors that we're going to be using. And I'm just going to come around and turn. Oopsie. Okay. So I'm going to start with a horseshoe section on the top. That'll be where we apply the halo prism. So the rest underneath, you can honestly utilize any technique that you want. You can do a bubble underneath. You can do just like a solid color. You can kind of ombre the colors. It doesn't really matter what you do underneath. The halo prism is just really how you apply that mohawk on the top. So I'm just gonna do a few sections here of the bottom. Make sure you guys can see it. Okay. So I like to take my sections vertically. I just find that you can kind of keep the sections out of the face that way. Although I'll probably have mine in the mannequin face. Do any of you have saturation issues when you're applying your Pulp Riot colors? I find if you overwork our semis too much, you can actually separate the color from the conditioner base. They are a conditioner base, so if you work them too much, you can actually separate it. So if I go like this, trying to blend these 2 colors in, you can kind of see that white milky color that's happening. That means that color is separated from that conditioner base and you're not going to get any pigment there. So if that does happen to you, I just take another big glob of color and I just set it down over top. And I don't even try and like mush it in too much, just to kind of resaturate and make sure that that color is going to stay on there. Does anybody have any questions so far?
Feel free to ask questions in the chat, people, or just unmute yourself if you want.
All our semis are vegan, of course, ammonia-free. They're all made with quinoa, which is moisturizing and protein, so it's kind of like a built-in bonder. It's nice because the acidic pH helps seal down the cuticles. So if you've pre-lightened the hair or anything like that, it helps seal that cuticle down afterwards. And the processing time for these is 25 to 40 minutes. I'm just going to apply this.
Right?
Pardon?
You never use heat, right?
No, no heat.
Exactly.
Yeah, just open air. They'll create their own little shell as well. That's kind of when I like to wait for. I kind of don't really time it. I just wait for it to kind of create that shell. That way I can kind of guarantee that my color isn't going to bleed into the other colors when I rinse it.
Yeah.
Let's see if this one's kind of starting to create a shell. You can tell it's getting stiffer. And yeah, once that shell is kind of created, it just rinses out completely clear.
Cool.
Okay.
And do you prefer rinsing cold water, hot water? Doesn't matter?
Yes, you definitely want to rinse in cool water. Like I go cold. I tell my clients if they get brain freeze, just to let me know and we'll pause. Because then also I find clients kind of, they take what you say loosely in terms of like washing in cold water. I have clients all the time that'll be like, oh, you know, this didn't stay as long as I thought it was going to or something. And they're like, I rinsed in cold water, or they say in cool water. And I'm like, is it cool water or did you go like ice cold? And then they kind of let me know it was like lukewarm. And I'm like, yeah. So I always freeze them so that if they ease up a little bit, at least it's kind of exactly where you want it. And so for this horseshoe section, now that we've done the whole bottom, I'm going to take just a super, like a newspaper thin kind of section in front. When I'm doing my rainbow sectioning, I just like to use my colors in Roy G. Biv order. I find that way they blend together the best and they don't make a weird in-between color. There is no rules, obviously. You can do it whichever way you want. If I'm using two opposing colors, for example, if I was going to use tragic and nuclear, I would, instead of blending the two colors together, I would use a little bit of clear to kind of buffer those two colors together. So we're going to take our nuclear. This one, we're going to kind of do like the traveling halo prism. So the colors are kind of going to switch each section. I'm going to do a little bit of bigger pieces, but you can do them as big or as little as you want. The smaller you do these little blocks, kind of the more psychedelic it looks when you have it down. And I just use a mesh on the bottom just for the first one to make sure it's like not on my client's face. To blend these colors together, again, going back to not overworking, I usually just crisscross with my brush a couple times, or you can kind of just do that with your finger, and then that's blended enough. Anything more than that, and you'll start to overwork it a little bit. And again, if you do overwork, you can just reapply. Oh, and there's tragic going into nuclear. Perfect. And then the last color is going to be the decoy that we made a little more green. And so then with the next section, we'll bring that down. And you can kind of see here, there's going to be like a little gap where where the orange isn't reaching. So we're going to do the same thing. And I like to just kind of stick it to the last part. So this is where the orange is coming to, our nuclear. And I just like to now use kind of the same colors and not have to use the brush twice. So I just kind of find where they are and apply them. And then at the top, we're going to do the color that would come above it. So it's going to be tragic. And then we're just going to apply this little tiny bit right up there. And then when the next section comes down, this section of tragic will be a little bit bigger. Perfect. And then you'll be able to see. And so about every 2 sections, you can switch colors. Maybe 3, since we have a bigger stripe. And then again, I like to just kind of grab my section nice and clean and just lay it down. And then we apply that top. Any questions so far about the technique or about our semis? Everyone's so quiet today.
We have a shy class today.
That's okay. That's always me.
It's
I totally understand.
You're doing good. I'm sure people are enjoying the class.
Yeah, there's many different ways to do halo prism. Oh, go ahead.
No, I just said feel free to ask questions at our dear attendees. What were you gonna say?
There's many different ways to do the halo prism technique. There's this traveling way that you can do it where each color kind of switches. You can also just apply one color. So I could have went around and applied my same base color Tragic all over and just kind of done like the root section with that. And then you can go in and kind of do this section, which will kind of give you like a shine line. Yeah. All right. Next section. And yeah, so for halo prism, you want to come forward in front of the face with this technique. You can also go backward. I mean, there's really no specific rule. Going backward will just kind of make the prism come from higher to lower towards the face, whereas starting in the front with the over direction that you get makes it shorter up at the top and then kind of get longer towards the back. There's also another technique that's really similar called the progressive technique. And it's kind of the same thing, but you do start at the back. But instead of kind of slowly alternating the colors like this, you just completely alternate each color. So instead of doing a couple sections with Tragic at the top, you would just completely switch out a new color. And it creates kind of a really cool, like a softer rainbow look. It's really important when you are doing these colors to utilize clear and not conditioner. The reason why you don't want to use conditioner is because our colors are already conditioner based. So, I mean, I'll use conditioner if I'm doing like a mannequin or something, for example, if I don't want to like waste clear. But if I'm doing an actual client, I never skimp on clear because that way the color will hold a lot better and you can guarantee your color that way. If you're going to use conditioner, you might have some clients calling you saying like, hey, my color didn't last very long. So there definitely is a difference. All right, so this next section, we're going to do the decoy satire mixture as our top one. Because now this blue section underneath is the same width as all the rest.
So how long do these colors usually last to your clients to take good care of them by washing with cold water and using the right shampoo and all that?
I do find it totally just depends. However, if they are taking care of it properly, it depends on how often they wash it, to be honest. So
Yeah.
I tell clients if they're going to wash it once a week, it can last them for like a whole month or a little bit more. But if they're going to wash it like every 2 days or every day, then it's only going to be in for about like a week or two.
Right.
Yeah. And it also
And how do you
depends on if
find
it's
it fades?
pastel. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. How do you find it fades?
Oh, so
The
our colors fade true to tone. So they fade basically to the canvas that's underneath. So if you have a beautiful like platinum blonde underneath, like for example, this platinum is the color that's underneath my, what do I have, lava.
Yeah.
My hair completely fades back to that. It basically gets a more and more pastel pink until it goes back to white. If you have kind of like a deeper color underneath, it'll kind of do the same thing. It'll just like fade back to what's underneath, what canvas you have underneath. But they never shift tones or get like, you never have like a blue that goes like a weird mucky green after.
Yeah.
They just fade completely back.
Good. Thank you.
Perfect. We're getting close to the back here. So I'm just gonna remix a little bit of the Tragic. So again, just adding, just adding a little bit of the clear first, and then adding the Tragic in. Again, I find the Tragic doesn't really need a lot of clear because the Tragic and Decoy are already quite light. Decoy looks a little bit strange coming straight out of the tube. I know a bunch of people asking me like, oh, is this right? And it just looks like that in the bowl. It's kind of like a grayish green tone in the bowl, but it's the right color. Perfect. So we've just mixed clear and Tragic. And then again, we're going in with our Satire Decoy mixture and laying that section down. And it is really important to take finer sections because if you take sections that are too thick, you will have saturation issues because you can't work that color in too much. So by trying to press all that color in and trying to get through that big section, you'll overwork your color.
How long do you usually take to do a whole client who wants like a semi look?
I guess it kind of depends. It depends on the lightning, I find, because a look like this doesn't really take too long. I find it can be pretty quick. Like the bubble technique specifically too, like probably only takes me about like 20-30 minutes to reapply because you can just apply each section over top. But yeah, it's the lightning process that takes a long time because most of my clients that have all the vivid colors, they come in and they need a root touch up as well. But a platinum root retouch takes me about 3 hours. So that on top of the color on top takes quite a while.
Wow.
But definitely when my clients come back, they all really like to kind of change up their colors. A lot of the time they'll come back and they don't want the same thing. Like they see like ideas on Instagram. Actually, all my clients follow like Pulp Riot and stuff on Instagram. Yeah. So they'll literally come up to me with like all my friends' posts. It's so funny. And just show me and be like, oh, like this is what I want this time. I saw this and I want that. So a lot of the time I make them just like fade their color out. I'll literally just tell them like, okay, you're gonna be excited. You get like a full week with like hot water showers that you can do because we're trying to like pull this out. Or we'll utilize blank canvas as well. Sorry, my AirPods are falling out. I like to use blank canvas as opposed to lightener because I find lightener can kind of bring out some of those underlying tones, and the blank canvas just strips all the color off the surface, which is where semis sit. I find I get the best results when I use blank canvas versus using lightener.
Yeah, blank canvas, I've heard some great things about it as well. Yeah. If you have like some cases, for example, trying blank canvas on a client and then one of the colors still seems to be there, what is your solution to that usually?
There is a few different options. You can just go over it with like a semi. So for example, as I was mentioning before, I had a client the other day who came in with faded. I think we did Nightfall and like Nirvana mixture. Sorry, Blue Muse. I'm still hung up on Nirvana apparently. We did a Blue Muse and Nightfall mixture, and she did the washing in hot water for about a week, and it was still fairly in there. So we used blank canvas, and we had like quite a minty green, like almost this kind of color left over. You can use, for example, our rose gold like high-speed toner to counteract that green. Sometimes the toner too, like the ammonia in them, because they're ammoniated, will kind of eat away the pigment a little bit. But because it was still so green, I wanted something with like a ton of pigment. So I just went straight in with Fireball. But definitely, I like to utilize the high-speed toners if I can, because I always try not to seal down the cuticle before I apply my semis. And yeah, using something such as the liquid demis that are not ammoniated will seal down your cuticle, and then the semis won't stick as well. Yeah, so typically I like to use our high-speed toners when correcting if blank canvas doesn't pull out everything.
So you wouldn't suggest using another lightener such as like cream bleach or something like that?
You definitely can. You can definitely go over with a lightener after you use blank canvas. I always, even though bleach is like my thing, bleach is my game, it's pretty much everything that I use and do on a daily basis. I definitely try to not utilize it as much as possible. But definitely you can go over with the cream bleach after. I like the cream bleach because it is very moisturizing, and it's kind of a good one to kind of cocktail at the sink to try and pull some of those unwanted tones out for sure.
Cool. And yes, we have D. O'Sullivan saying that the cream bleach is unreal. We have had some great comments as well.
It is totally amazing. I really like it for like platinum cards and stuff. Yeah. All right, and then we're going to switch this next color on top to our satire mixture. Is there some like key points that you guys learned, or do you guys already know a lot about Pulp Riot? Oh, she's a little tangly.
So is everyone using Pulp Riot in the chat, or are you interested in knowing some more about the brand, about our color, or anything like that? If anyone wants to ask some questions about other than semis as well, you're welcome to.
Definitely. All right. Does everyone do a lot of semis, or is this like something you guys want to do a little bit more of? Are you guys having a hard time like trying to get clients to come in for more vivids? I found getting a bunch of mannequins like this, like ordering a whole bunch online, really helped me get more of a vivid clientele. I would just like post a whole bunch of stuff like this, and then people start to Google that and see, like for example, a lot of people in my city say they find me from searching up the hashtag YYC hairstylist. So posting a whole bunch of stuff like that, people kind of see under that hashtag like what they're looking for. So in doing a whole bunch of like mannequins or getting friends and saying, if you just pay me for product, I'll do the service for free if you let me do anything I want on your head. Doing that type of thing at first definitely helped drive me in a clientele. And now just a whole bunch of my clients are vivids. Also, it's kind of nice. I specialize in blondes as well. So I actually have a ton of my blonde clientele kind of dabble in color, which is really fun. I just had one of my platinums that I never ever thought would get any kind of color ever. We just did straight Blue Muse, Tragic, and Aquatic on her hair. And like, it is so her and so amazing. And the thing that I really love about doing that on her is that if she does want to go back to blonde, it will fade fairly well, true to tone. It might take some time. Like if she came to me a week after doing that mixture and said, oh, I want to be blonde again, we would definitely probably have to try and, you know, remove it with some blank canvas and stuff like that. But, you know, if she kind of lets it fade and do its thing and then wants to go back, it'll be such an easy transition to go back. Whereas I find some other color lines, they just kind of really stick in there and then you're kind of, yeah, stuck with it.
What's your favorite to do? You prefer colors or you prefer blondes?
It's hard to say. I really like both, but I have a lot of fun with the vivids because you can kind of do different things all the time. And, you know, my one friend was telling me today, she's like, isn't Halo Prism like the one technique you literally do all the time? And I was like, yeah, I guess so. I utilize this technique a ton. But every time it's completely different. I either change up the placement of my halo prism and just do like a shine line. I usually do a halo prism like every time a new technique comes out or a new color line comes out. So I did it with the fantasy collection when that came out. And of course, I've done it with Neopop. And my favorite is the neons. I love the neons.
Awesome. We have someone else in the chat. It's Mariana saying that she's an apprentice, but she wants to specialize in vivids. And she also says that it did help her boss to attract vivid clients with mannequin heads.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I'm sure it works.
It's so true. We're like in a day and age of like Instagram and social media. And so now people don't really just like walk into a salon anymore saying like, I want this. Like clients are always doing their research. And so already having images, it's kind of like if you're gonna go get lip fillers, I wouldn't really choose somebody that has maybe like 3 photos on their page. I would probably go for someone that has like a little bit more of like selection that I can see. So I definitely just keep going and make all these mannequins and keep posting so that people kind of can see a selection of what you do. And it's actually funny because now that I get vivids, because of the type of vivids that I post, there's always some crazy rainbows or bubble technique. Like there's many different colors. I normally don't mix less than like 4 to 5 colors. So I have all these like little bowls around. I don't really get a lot of clients saying I just want purple or I just want pink, because like, yeah, that's still really cool, but I have definitely way more fun painting rainbows. And so, yeah, you can even like kind of specialize in a certain category of vivids if you wanted to.
Yeah, I can understand.
And mannequins are great. Like mannequins were great for me when we were off. Yeah, being shut down was like kind of hard because I was like, being at work is kind of everything that I do. I'm never not really here. So it was definitely very weird to like not be able to just like paint hair. So I ordered a whole bunch of mannequins and got some for my team as well. And we would just come in and do like a mannequin day all together. And my one stylist, like she's been off for hip surgery for a while. And so saying like she hasn't really been able to create content. So she just bought a whole bunch of mannequins to kind of, sorry, I'm distracted, I'm mixing here. So this is the decoy into the clear.
It's all good. We actually have two people asking, where do you buy and find your mannequin heads?
Okay, so I buy my mannequin heads off of Hair Art. They are like a US company, so sometimes it can be pricey if you're just like buying them on like a normal day. They always have sales going on all the time, like usually about once a month or once every 2 months. So I'll usually catch the mannequins on like a 50% off sale, and then just me and the team like stock up and buy a whole bunch. So I kind of have like 3 of these just like sitting in the reception desk right now.
Good. All right. So that's good to know. And to answer your question, it says iPhone. I'm guessing you have another name. But about our classes, apart from these live classes that we have maybe once a month or every 2 or 3 weeks, I would say, we have also a Pulp Riot TV that you can look up on Google. This is a very good source of information for new people coming up with Pulp Riot. There's a bunch of classes in there. There's either like 5-minute videos, but there's longer ones as well. So you can catch them at tv.pulprighthair here, I believe.
Definitely, yep. tv.pulprighthair.com. There is honestly a whole bunch of ways to find education through Pulp Riot if you're looking for it. If you follow some of your favorite Pulp Riot artists, guaranteed they'll kind of have some of their own classes on like their IGTV, stuff like that. Pulp Riot Canada and Pulp Riot, the US hair page will probably have a couple of older lives as well on their IGTV. If you kind of follow some of your local Pulp Riot artists as well, you can always have them do like an in-person class or a live just like for you or your salon. There's definitely so many ways to get education through Pulp Riot.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm going to take this question to also remind you that these classes that we do at the moment, so pretty much every month, as I said, they're always free. So that's a good way to get some education. But as she said, if you want to have more in detail or have specific questions, you can always ask one of your local hairstylists.
Perfect.
So it's starting to take place. You look almost there.
Yeah, we're almost there. I think like there's like 2 more sections at the back. With this look too, you can actually like go back as far as you want to. I just kind of have it sectioned to like right here. You can go like all the way like down the back if you wanted to. Like you could section it to like here. It just depends on the look you want. Sometimes I like to just do like half and just do it to like here, and then have like a complete solid on the back, and then have the halo prism on the front. Perfect. I'll just apply this one. And yeah, I'll have this finished mannequin up on my stories afterward, so that you guys can kind of see what it looks like.
Yes, so you can follow Zenny on Instagram at Zenny Hair in one word.
Yep, at Zenny Hair.
Obviously, you can also follow us at Pulp Right Canada. And if you want to have a look at the class also after, if you want to relook at some segments or something like that, we're going to be posting it on YouTube over the next few days.
Definitely. Sometimes once I'm finished the halo prism, I'll just do this last section here. Sometimes once I'm finished the halo prism, I'll put like another just mesh over top so that I can actually just like flip this back so that it's not in my client's face. I find when I use the mesh, then the shell doesn't form. So I kind of just wait till the shell forms here to rinse everything off, because yeah, that won't happen if you have it covered, because it's kind of insulating everything.
Can you briefly explain what you mean by a shell for people who might not know?
Yes. So pulpite encapsulates as it's processing. And so when it encapsulates, it kind of creates this like hard shell. Like you can kind of tell that these are getting really stiff. They'll get like completely stiff and crunchy if you wait long enough. This one's already completely there. You can kind of just see it's like, yeah. And so when you go to rinse this, the water will run completely clear. You'll have no runoff in your bowl, which means none of the colors will run together. So I really like utilizing that a lot.
Good, perfect.
Also, you can definitely like utilize, what's the word? Overworking the color to your advantage if you want to. Because if you kind of get like a color where you shouldn't, you can kind of just like work it in and separate the color. And then it completely kind of will come away, and then you don't have your little custom yellow spot there anymore. I took a class once with Miss Kelly O, and that's what she said. She said, oh, I forget to like put my placements right like all the time. And so she's like, I just call it a custom color. And so now I say that to my clients. If I put a color in the wrong spot, I'm like, oh, it's custom color. And it makes me feel so much better about making like a little mistake, because I have to say Roy G. Biv in my head the entire time while I'm doing this. I'm not one who can just like look at it and know. And so sometimes I kind of forget and I'll apply it in a weird spot. All right. And this is our last little one. Perfect. And yeah, so I'm going to just kind of finish the back with this kind of blended tragic into decoy and satire. You can kind of see, her head's probably full of color, but you can kind of see that the orange starts here and we finish off with yellow. So she'll definitely have a variation at the top of all these kind of colors coming together. If you choose to do a root color first, your root color will be right at the front of the head when you start. And then all of this would be your root color. So this entire part would just be one color, creating that kind of top to downward angle. Yeah. Does anybody have any more questions at all? Any questions about clear?
Yeah, feel free to speak up or to ask questions in the chat. We have Jennifer saying she's looking forward to seeing it, the final look. So as we said, you're going to be able to see this on her Instagram at Zenny Hair.
Yeah. And if you have any questions, feel free to DM me anytime. I'm always around. Anything mannequins, anything Pulp Riot.
You seem to be pretty good on questions.
Yeah.
Are you pretty much done?
I guess so, yeah. We finished the prism. I'm just gonna go and finish these up, and then, yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to message me, and you'll be able to see this in about probably 45 minutes on my Instagram.
Awesome. So Krista says, great, thank you. Thank you to everyone else who attended today. Feel free to ask us some questions, and please sign up for our next classes as well. And Zenny, I'll let you close if you want to say goodbye.
Yep, sounds good. That's pretty much it. Other than, again, reiterating, ask me any questions. If you need more education, tv.pulpriothair.com, or reach out to some of your local artists. If you don't know who's your local artist, I believe there's a Pulp Riot artist finder on the Pulp Riot website, but if not, message me where you live and I can tell you what Pulp Riot artists are in your city, and you can contact them.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Sid.
Bye, guys. See you.
Bye-bye. Have a good afternoon, everyone.